Pine Squirrel Crawler. Kind of show you what we'll start out with. Use a size 2 mustad jig hook. Use a large unpainted dumbbell eye. Then we want to use for the claws some crawdad orange pine squirrel zonkers, crawdad orange crawdub. Use some flash boo or crystal flash. I'm sorry, doesn't matter what size crystal flat, what color. Some thin skin. You'll need some silicone legs or rubber legs, small or extra small gold wire, small piece of yarn, black or orange will work, and UV resin, and then ultimately some orange nail polish. Okay, let me start this. So the first thing we're going to do is tie on the eyes. Start your thread wraps right here behind the bend of the eye. The cool thing about these is you can put the lead eyes right up against the bend of the hook. You don't need a whole lot of space there. Like to put a few wraps underneath. One thing you can do is take a little bit of UV resin and drop it right down just in between the two sides of the dumbbell there on the eyes where the thread is. Hit it for a second. Then you can move down to the other side of the hook. And the next thing I do is you don't need a whole lot, but just a few strands of crystal flash. I like to do about 4. You take a full length, then bend them in half around your thread, and then they tie in nicely right there to the bend of the hook. And the next thing you want to do is some legs. What I like to do is use 2. So for this particular pattern, I'm going to use one brown one, full length, and one black one. These are just rubber legs you can get at any tackle craft store. Put the 2 together and bend them around your tying thread, just like we did for the crystal flash. This allows you to get them nice and even. And then just tie it in there. Okay. And that makes your antenna appearance of your crawl. The next thing I like to do is flip it over, and then you want to get some thin skin. And what I like to do is cut a long section. It doesn't have to be very wide. So about like that is all you need. And then you just lay it along one side of the hook or the other and tie her in right there. Okay. Now what we're ready for is a little bit of yarn. Got a piece about like that. And all this is basically doing is used to build up a base. So what we're going to do is we're going to build up a base. And remember, on your crawdad, your head is your thickest part, and then it always tapers down as you go towards the tail, which is where your eyes will be. So once you get a thick head there, you can taper it back. And now it builds you up a little bit of a base there. Okay, and then the next thing I like to do is on the head is you want some crawdad. So you W up ahead, and you can bring your thread back up here to just where the claws are. And the key to this dubbing is just, it's just to work a little bit at a time. So, I like to get it all spun on here. And it's okay if it's messy, because we're going to put it on thick. And then you can add a little more. Alright, now we've got the head built here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the claws. And what I'd like to do is just kind of measure out on what you want. You don't really need much. I say, 3/4 of an inch in length. And you pull back the hair and make you just a little cut right in there. And you can turn your fly up and lay that claw right down on there and tie her in. Then you can flip your fly over and do the same thing on the other side. Bring you a small claw and just peel the hair back there till you get it right where you need it. Slide your scissors in between and cut it. And then you can tie that claw in right there. Now, the next thing I like to do is add 2 more legs on each side. So I've got 2 black, see here. And what I'm gonna do is basically fold it in half, just like we've been doing to get it even, and tie it in on the side, right behind the claw. So you fold him up, and then right behind the claw, and then do the same thing on the other side. Take the other black, fold it in half around your thread. This is the best way to get things like crystal flash, rubber legs, anything even. You tie it right down there behind it. And then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna tie in some wire. I like gold, copper, anything will work. This wire is not real important as far as the color. I do like to use small or extra small. Just kind of tie your wire in here on the bottom of the fly up to where you tied in the claws and the rubber legs. Now what we're going to do is finish dubbing the body. And you can be fairly liberal with this stuff because, like I said, it's we're going to make it kind of messy because this will give a good illusion of what the body is. So you can take that, tie it in, and that'll help kind of pull your legs and your claws forward too. Remember, crawdad's thicker towards the front and tapers back towards the tail. So the longer fibers or heavier fibers will be up towards the head, which is towards the bend of the hook on this. Because if you remember, crawdads or crawfish swim through the water backwards. A little more. And once I get in back here, I like to do it thinner and then just cover my thread wraps that are around the lead eyes. So you can do there, you can do a couple this way, and then bring it right back up here and tie right in front of the, okay. Then the next thing we can do is we're gonna fold our thin skin back. Pull it tight, tie your thread wraps around it once, pull it tight again, and then you can cinch it down. We'll cut the excess off there. Okay, and then the last thing we got here is our wire. We've got the head there, and we're gonna wrap the wire just down the body here. And that's gonna help hold that thin skin in place and give the illusion of segmentation there. And then I like to tie it in up here. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll cut the excess wire. At this point, go ahead and whip finish your fly. And a lot of people use a little dubbing brush or something. I just use the pick of my whip finisher because I can kind of pick the fibers and pull them out and make them longer than what you could with a dubbing brush. And just go down the sides of that and just carefully grab those and pull them out. You can do that on both sides. Make it look like you kind of see there. Gives the illusion of small legs, these fibers do. It really makes it look lively. And the last thing I do here is take just a bead of epoxy, put it down the thin skin to make it look like a shellback. And that helps blend the color of the dubbing and gives it a nice, clear, good look. There's one last thing you can do. What I like to do is once you have that done, you can take a little bit of your fluorescent orange fingernail polish. And what I do is just like to pull back the squirrel zonks and take it and just dab it on the inside of that strip. You can do it on both sides. And whenever that dries, it gives you a little orange in there as well. There you go.